Hello everyone, I'm Damien Helene, editor-in-chief at Altorock. Today I have the pleasure of taking you to New York, more precisely to the West Village neighborhood. This is where the headquarters of Heartbeat is located, a telemedicine company specializing in virtual cardiology. Its CEO, Jeff Wessler, is a cardiologist, entrepreneur, and recognized leader in the field of digital health. He holds degrees from Williams College, Cambridge, and Harvard University. He welcomes us into his office to look back on his remarkable journey that, as you'll see, is truly inspiring, and to discuss why he decided to create his own company before raising funds with the American investment firm Cressey.
Good morning. Great to be here, and really appreciate the opportunity and the chance to tell you more about what we're building here at Heartbeat. My background is I'm a general cardiologist. I was in the academic setting for a while, really building a career taking care of very sick, advanced patients and doing a lot of research in the outcome setting. How do we deliver care better for these patients? I was in the midst of this career back in 2017 when I began really seeing a fundamental issue with what was happening, which was that I was at a tertiary, or even at this time, a quaternary referral center, which means the sickest of the sick patients would really come to this academic center. I was really struggling with, well, what were we doing upstream of this? How were we getting cardiovascular care and cardiology to patients before they get sick? And when I started looking around, two things occurred to me. Number one, there were not a lot of good, broad-scaled, systematic efforts to target patients before they became really sick in cardiology. And number two, technology was really advancing to the point, this back in 2017, where we had a lot of new tools that could help us care for patients earlier on in their illness, and yet we weren't doing anything to really implement and to get this care out to people. So this led me to make a hard decision to, in essence, take a hard right out of the academic setting and start a company, Heartbeat Health, that was really designed at managing and caring for these patients earlier upstream. Founder was the first role I took on, and I said, I'm going to start this company. It was my first company. I had done a lot in the entrepreneurial side, sort of building and patenting some devices for the heart, creating an app that did some mobile text messaging for heart failure patients, but I had never really started a full-blown private company before. So the natural, it was actually very unnatural for me at the beginning to say, well, I'm going to really take this executive role and be a CEO. But I quickly learned, and on the advice of some of my early mentors and colleagues, that leaning into being the CEO and founder of a new company was important to really for me to embody what it took to actually build this thing. The beginning few years, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into it, and if you don't really own the role and own the idea that this is not just a side project, but this is really going to be a company that you're going to build and put your soul into, then being that CEO was critically important for that. And I'll say one thing, which is in the early, when I started, a little bit personally about me, I've got 2 young kids now, but when I started Heartbeat, I had my wife had our first child 3 months into the Heartbeat journey. And you might imagine this was a pretty intense time to have a newborn baby, starting a company. And so the chaos, had I not really loved what I was doing day to day, I'm not sure I would have continued it. But I truly, truly felt from the early days, not only was this what I was meant to do. I loved the startup world. I loved building. I loved developing a product that had the chance to help many people. But then number two, I think that drive just helped me really own the role and own the desire to make this work more than anything. And so I, despite all of the life chaos that was happening, I found the real stability and the ability to drive Heartbeat forward. Heartbeat is a virtual cardiology company. What that means is that we are a large medical group, Heartbeat Medical Group. We have cardiologists, advanced cardiologists, general cardiologists, advanced practitioners, nurses, care coordinators, medical assistants, all of whom are designed to provide cardiology care at scale for millions of people at this point across the US. And our mission is really to improve the outcomes and health of millions of people, full stop. Cardiology is one of these illnesses that is incredibly, incredibly common and incredibly destructive to people's lives. 1 in 2, almost 50% of Americans are going to suffer from a cardiac condition in their lifetime, and we're not doing enough as healthcare system to get in front of these patients and help managing and treating them before it becomes too late, before they get so sick that all you can do is really prolong, try to stave off the next bout of illness. What we instead really try to do is get ahead of it and prevent them from progressing or exacerbating their disease state. So Heartbeat is a virtual cardiology company, which means we do all of that via a remote telehealth model, providing video visits and asynchronous consults and remote cardiac diagnostics to actually make this care work. And it turns out that care can work really well. You can deliver a lot of very high quality cardiovascular care without having to bring someone into a brick and mortar office. Earlier this year, we saw our millionth patient. It was a huge milestone. When I think back to the early days, I never thought we would get so quickly to touch so many people and help so many people across the US. So that I'm incredibly proud of the team and the work that it took to get to 1 million patient interactions, and to my mind that means 1 million people really helped. The second is an evidence milestone. So from the beginning, I've always felt, and the part of this comes from my background as an academic, is that you have to study what you do, and you have to build an evidence base that shows that your care model works. It can't just work on the merit of the business alone. It really has to be a model that says, if this care works, we need to be able to prove it does. Show the outcomes, compare those outcomes to those who are not getting the intervention, and then show that they're better in the group that's being managed by Heartbeat. So we took this to heart and have been pretty rigorously studying everything we've done. And then earlier this year in 2025, we published our first randomized control trial, which took patients who were leaving the hospital after a cardiac hospitalization, put half of them in a group that Heartbeat, my team, would care for, and then half of them with their standard high-quality cardiology care, and then observed and watched what happened to them over 30, 60, 90 days after the hospitalization. And Heartbeat was able to lower that re-hospitalization rate by almost 45% of all-cause hospitalizations and over 50% of cardiac hospitalization. That's an amazing, amazing milestone. It means that in this incredibly sick population, we were able to keep people out of the hospital, which is one of the most important goals when you're managing cardiovascular disease and especially heart failure. And we published this in the British medical journal BMJ earlier this year. It was something I'm immensely proud of. Cressey is our first private equity investor. We've had several really wonderful venture capital and strategic funds help us along the way before them. And when we went out for the most recent fundraise that Cressey and Co. led, Heartbeat was doing very well. We were growing very fast, and that meant that we had a lot of interest from the investment community. And ultimately, I spent a lot of time getting to know the funds and saying, well, we really want an investor and a group that can help us on the next several years of our journey, including ultimately to exit. A partner that A, understands what we're doing, B, has the humility to say we're going to learn a lot together about these markets and how our care model is going to work, and so not have a prescribed roadmap for how it's going to be done, but be able to evolve what we need and what the business needs over time. And then number 3, really be a group of people that I want to be sharing, this intimate process of building a company together with for years to come. Cressey checked all of those boxes. They've been a truly, truly wonderful partner, immense subject matter expertise. They understand healthcare like none other that I've interacted with, and they have been wonderfully supportive and beneficial in our journey to really understand and continue to grow this market. And frankly, as a real testament, I think, to them and our trusting partnership over the year or so since they joined our company, We've almost tripled the business. We've become profitable, and our business has looked stronger than I truly had imagined it could be. The main thing right now is it's all about execution for us. We need to consistently execute across the care we're delivering, which has grown, threefold over the last year. Our quality needs to remain exceptional. Every single care interaction without compromise needs to be great. Our access needs to be great. We need to continue to be able to offer same day, same week care to our customers, patients, clients. And then importantly, our economic model needs to be self-sustainable. We need to be profitable and making sure to improve our margin structure so that we can be a healthy business that can really grow with really a strong economic profile, so that we can see the path to a strong exit. And all of those are happening very well now. I'm confident that there'll be bumps in the road and we'll be able to address those. But right now we're seeing just exceptional performance. The main impact that bringing Cressey on board did was give us the confidence that we really had a mature investment group, private equity group that could help us to guide the roadmap for the next few years. I'd say we were doing a reasonably good job of, we had stumbled upon a lot of the right ways to do things, and the care model works remarkably well. But getting that mature backing and not just capital backing, but infrastructure, and Cressey is a group that brings a team that helps across finance, across talent, a search, across executive coaching, HR functions, of course, investment. So they're a remarkably well-rounded group, and they bring that effort to the table purely to help. So I have felt a sense of security that I now have some real amazing operators in the room helping our team make the right decisions, and then feel confident when we do make a decision that we've got support to move forward. I've never sparred myself, but I was a squash player growing up and frequently had friends and colleagues that pushed me to be better. There's a high school friend of mine named Will who started playing squash around the same time as me, and always pushed and pushed and pushed, and I got much, much better because of him. Cressey is a similar way. I enjoy being on court with them, as it were, and I love the interaction, but it's definitely pushing us to be better. They are not a group that's coming in with a predetermined way of how things need to go, and if you don't fit their mold, then you're in trouble. It's not like that. It's really, we're going to create the future here together. We're going to discuss our options, try to land on the best, most optimal path, and then execute together. And that's not just a lot of fun, but a model that works. It's pretty tried and true. Heartbeat primarily sells into payers, insurance companies, and then their risk-bearing entities like their large provider groups. This market is growing, particularly in the Medicare and Medicare Advantage space. And we're seeing a high degree of uptake. Our care sells well, it does very well, we perform very well. In the next few years, scale. We have new large opportunities with every single payer in the country. We need to perform at the highest quality possible, and I like to think we're about 3 or 4 years ahead of the market in terms of a virtual care model. And to me, if we can do 2 things consistently well, then we're going to be great. The first is show that the care works, demonstrate our outcomes, study it, report on it, publish our outcomes, and show that virtual care really works. And then number 2 is keep quality at the highest level. You cannot compromise on quality ever. That's what keeps large health systems and large care delivery organizations at the top of their game, is making sure that the quality of care comes first. And as you scale, that becomes harder. So we're working hard on deploying a lot of solutions for quality assessment and making sure that our quality is better than anyone else out there.